Good evening, everybody. How are you guys tonight? Hello, Miss Melody, MCause. How are you guys? Everybody hear me okay? I have been in the basement, so that's why I'm kind of a hot mess tonight. We had tornadoes and sirens and craziness. So hopefully all of you guys are free and clear of the treacherous weather where you are. I know that the weather was hitting down by Kansas, and I think Missouri. Um, yeah, we're good now. It's thunder, lightning, and raining, but boy, I was just like, ugh. We're all hunkered down in Wisconsin, in the basement. So yeah, we don't get a whole lot of the tornado action, but there was touchdown and it was traveling at like 70 miles an hour. So it was pretty crazy. Ooh, we got a lot going on right now. In a lot of different cases. And so, yeah, we got a lot. Oh, South Carolina. Ooh, I my husband and I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. I fell in love with it. I hope to end up there, but I have family, an uncle in South Carolina, and I'm like, heck no, that I am not a fan of the humidity. No, not to that degree. Can't do the sticky, icky stuff. I just can't. So tonight, oh yeah, and it's actually like where I am, it's usually very mild, and it was mild winter, and so I am like ready for some really bad weather coming. So so yes, there is a lot going on with the Sebastian Rogers case, but I'm going to open with Elijah Vu first. So we got an update from law enforcement yesterday. So I want to just play that. It's really short. And it's really short and the update from law enforcement, but it just, I rarely hear people complain about the law enforcement in the Elijah Vu case, but I am seeing some keyboard warriors starting to do it, and it bothers me because I think about Sebastian's case and Summerwell's case, and I just want to say you guys have no idea how lucky you are to have such a heartfelt, considerate group of law enforcement working on this case. So we're going to take a look at his update. Especially because this one, along with one other video, someone said where they were at, they were unable to watch them. So I don't know if that's banned or what. So
about the disappearance of 3-year-old Elijah Vu from Two Rivers.
Action 2 News sat down with Two Rivers police and neighbors of Elijah and his mother in Wisconsin Dells to learn new details about what may have led to his disappearance. Tonight, Samantha Cavalli brings us this first alert update.
90 days ago, an Amber Alert was issued in Two Rivers.
I was last seen near 3900 Mishicot Road, Two Rivers, Wisconsin.
Captain Andrew Rates remembers February 20th well.
It was unlike any other, missing child or missing persons case we've had, in the sense where usually within an hour typically, oh, we found the child, they're with grandma, they're at school, wherever. And this wasn't the case that day, obviously.
At 11 a.m., Jesse Vang called 911 to report 3-year-old Elijah Vu missing. Vang is the boyfriend of Elijah's mother, Katrina Bauer. He had been taking care of Elijah for a week leading up to the 911 call. After law enforcement learned Elijah was last seen at 8 a.m., 3 hours before he was reported missing, and the cold weather that time of year is dangerous, an Amber Alert was issued. In a recent interview, the Two Rivers police chief stated they have no evidence to believe Elijah was abducted or just walked off. Captain Rates says thousands of tips and video evidence have been coming in every day to the police department from Manitowoc County and across the world. They're reviewing all of it.
The information that's come in that we have so far, whether it's video, whether it's whatever, points to a certain geographical area. And not to say that it's not outside that area at this point, but right now everything we have certainly points to this area as far as his location. And so that's where we put our resources into at this point.
That area is Manitowoc County, where Action 2 News first alerted you to multiple large-scale searches. It also includes a landfill in Calumet County where trash is taken from Manitowoc County. With the help of statewide resources, a large-scale drone search was conducted throughout the county. The U.S. Air Force and Civil Air Patrol are still analyzing the footage captured there.
There's evidence we're still in the process of going through. I mean, it's a lot to sift through. Like I said, the video files. I mean, that's not done. There's a lot to go through, and to say that this is complete or that's completed, it's never really completed because there's always more. So it's tough.
According to court documents, Elijah had been staying with Vang since February 12th for disciplinary reasons after supposed bad behavior. Bauer wanted Vang to teach Elijah, quote, how to be a man. The detailed punishment outlined in the criminal complaint includes tactics of standing for 1 to 3 hours at a time and threatening Elijah with cold water if he failed to do so. Cell phone data legally gathered by investigators shows Bauer visited Elijah twice while he was with Vang, including on February 14th, where investigators say she took a photo of Elijah lying on a bed. Court records say he had a blindfold over his eyes, appearing to have bruising on his jawline and neck on the left side, as well as bruising on his upper left arm. The photo was deleted about an hour later. Vang and Bauer are currently being held in the Manitowoc County Jail on child neglect charges. Here in the Wisconsin Dells, outside the apartment complex Elijah and his sister lived at with their mother, Katrina Bauer, a memorial has been set up here with the hopes of Elijah's safe return home. Now, we also spoke with a neighbor who tells us that they are holding on to hope. That neighbor asked to remain anonymous.
He's just the goofiest little kid, and I can still hear his little laugh. It's so loud, just boisterous, belly laugh, deep belly laugh.
This neighbor says their children were around the same age as Katrina Bauer's kids, and they often played together. They say they would offer to help Bauer with anything, whether it be errands or watching Elijah and his sister while she got caught up on things.
You could tell that she was struggling at times. She was a single mom, and she had her struggles too. In
an interview with our Milwaukee affiliate WISN TV, Katrina Bauer's mother, Jody, says Katrina struggled with a cycle of drug addiction going back 20 years. Jody says Katrina's life was deeply affected by the abusive father of her children, Jimmy Vu, who is in prison. The neighbor claims Katrina was going to a clinic monthly to stay clean from drugs, but she allegedly stopped going in January.
She fought so hard to get those kids back, so hard, and tried to be the mom that she wanted to be.
The neighbor says the last time they saw Elijah was January 18th. About a month before his reported disappearance. The last time they saw Katrina was February 16th. They also say they remember seeing a man coming to the apartment building as early as October. That man, the neighbor says, was Jesse Vang.
He's been here since October, and now all of a sudden Elijah's not here. Obviously something was going on behind closed doors that we don't know.
Based on photos of surveillance footage from an auto shop in Two Rivers obtained by Action 2 News, Elijah was there with Jesse Vang the day the neighbors say they last saw Katrina. The neighbor says they hope if Katrina has anything to share, that she does, and she has a support system.
We just want to focus on making sure that Elijah's found, and that, the focus is on Elijah and making sure that he's found.
Recently, the number of tips pertaining to the case have slowed down. Still, the Two Rivers Police Department continues to use every resource they have and remain optimistic they will find Elijah.
Whether it's our agency, other local agencies, county, state, federal, the best technology we can, the best resources, the most expertise we can. That we're bringing all these things in, and that we're going to do everything in our power to find Elijah. We appreciate the trust our community has in us to do that, and we'll continue to do that job.
Anyone with any information is asked to call the tip line at 844-267-6648. Law enforcement is offering a $40,000 reward for anyone with any information. Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News.
Hi, Joseph. This case is so heartbreaking. You have Elijah, who's missing, Jesse, and Katrina. My understanding is that she has her other child, the daughter, is autistic. And my understanding is his son is autistic. And so it's hard to believe on some level there also wasn't, potential neglect or abuse in their case too, which some of you may not be tightly following that case. I do have a playlist and I do go through the court documents, and you do hear references to child victim number 2, who was left in the car in winter in Wisconsin, while the car was turned off, while they got busy in the apartment, and Elijah was put in the bathroom. And I believe that was the same evening that she took a photo of the bruising on him, and then later, subsequently, the photos were deleted, but they were able to recover them. It's hard to stomach. And one of the videos in the playlist is, the police testimony regarding what they learned and what they observed. And what is crazy is that, while Jesse isn't confessing to doing anything regarding Elijah's disappearance, he had no qualms about sharing what he did to him while he was under his care. He was frank about it before he was even arrested. Having him stand for hours, a 3-year-old, changing him once a day, his diaper. And you hear the defense attorney, and, he was like almost trying to make it sound like it wasn't that unreasonable. It was pretty horrifying. Cold showers, you look at his face, and I mean, he's just the sweetest looking little boy. And you listen to the neighbor of Katrina's, and thank God, somebody's talking, like people are talking, acknowledging how happy and joyful he was, and his deep belly laugh, and things like that. And it's heartbreaking. And I've heard Katrina's mom talk about, like, this has been a battle she's been fighting for 20 years, addiction. And if you notice the thumbnail of, this stream, was Stop Stealing Our Children. And I did that because not far from me, I drive by this billboard, and that is exactly all it says. And I know what they're talking about. They're talking about methamphetamine, fentanyl, and you know, you think about the Harmony Montgomery case and the methamphetamine use that was involved there, and how it's just ravaging our communities, tearing apart families. People are harming their children, neglecting their children. They are going to, while he had a stand next to the bed while Jesse was sleeping, and he had to pray for hours. Hi, Kim. He had one toy in the apartment, but he was not allowed to use that toy. It's terrible. So they have been searching. They've used just like every form of technology imaginable, and they keep searching a certain radius. And you know, I've been trying to figure out, like, there's a different town that's not in this county that I've really honed in on, that I really want to go and check it out and see if it'd be worth more people joining and searching there. Or, you know, I have really honed in and have been looking at the area where his blanket was located. And there is a mixture of forestry, there's a mausoleum, a funeral home. It was a more rural road area where the blanket was found outside of the town. It is. And, you know, when I was thinking about the stealing our children, and, you know, I was thinking, like, what are, you know, which is one of my goals, like figuring out how, you know, what can we do, you know, and nothing's an overnight fix, but what are the main root causes of some of these things? And, you know, we have the drugs, primarily methamphetamine. You know, we have alcoholism, domestic violence, mental health. We do have predators, you know, that are there for the predatory side or for the financial end of that. And you have extreme religiosity. When you look at Harmony Montgomery, you know, that was a methamphetamine and domestic violence. When you look at JJ and Tylee, that was extreme religiosity and greed. You know, you look at Sebastian Rogers, and in my opinion, you have a combination, and this is my opinion, of mental health issues and domestic violence in the home. And my thoughts on Elijah's case, and in this case, thankfully, the police are really pretty clear that they do not believe he was kidnapped. They do not believe he walked off. No, it's definitely not, Melody. Absolutely, Rocco. It very much was. And so I think that in Elijah's case, we're looking at two possibilities, harm, and maybe he is out there still harmed, or he is not, you know, with us anymore, but he's out there and he needs to be found. And I have my second theory, which is similar to my theory in Summer Wells' case, which is a possible sale. And I know that for a lot of people, that's really hard to wrap their minds around, but the state of Wisconsin might not be something a lot of people would really think that happens in, but it does. And the border of the state along Lake Michigan, which is north of Illinois, north of Chicago, the east side, there is a route, and they have made substantial busts there. And then in the north central region, they have made huge busts, and we're talking a lot of people. And they've also, because in this case, there's also drugs involved, and they've been making huge meth busts. We've had tons of fentanyl overdoses and things like that. So I think it's one of those two. I think, he was harmed or there was a sale involved. And sadly, that's the same feeling I have about Summer's case. And the only possible glimmer of hope is that, there's a chance they're still alive if that was the case. But God only knows where, And I think in a lot of these cases, there's a lot of focus in the immediate areas, but then, there's just not enough focus outside of the immediate areas. And I had kind of reached out today to somebody regarding Elijah's case. Like, I'm not really familiar with that town. It's a small town. And I'm like, what are your, every town has, a small seedy area or a building that might be the seedy building where, the bad people go, to do whatever they're doing. And, so I'm wondering about that. But the efforts there, there's so many people invested, and they are being very forthright with ruling out abduction, ruling out he wandered off as that was alleged. And, I think in that case, there's a similar, I think Jesse is just way too proud to tell the truth. And I think it's almost similar to Sebastian's case in that it's going to take the right advocate type personality to talk to the mother, Katrina. And maybe she'll speak. You're right. And Joseph, and I think Jesse shared that, and I don't know if that was if he shared it when he was talking with law enforcement prior to his arrest, or if it came out post arrest. And we're learning that about Katie in Sebastian's case, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was, in a lot of people's backgrounds. And, it's hard sometimes because you think, if you're exposed to something when you're a child, that your gut instinct would be to do the opposite, to be more protective. But I would say, especially in my opinion, with men, I think it's harder for them because when they're being treated like that when they're young, it's often because they're, whoever's doing it is trying to tell you to quote unquote man up. And so it's ingrained in you that that's the way you need to act in order to, be a man. And, that's terrible. I mean, and so that's, I have well, my son just turned 16, and that's something, since he was a baby. I have always encouraged both of my children, to have feelings. It's okay to show your feelings. That mental health is real, that it's okay to be open and honest and talk about those things. Because it was a different time 20 years ago. It was a different time in the 90s. I mean, there were so many stigmas around things, and there still are. There still are. But I think a lot of people rule out the possibility of a sale type transaction a little too quickly in certain cases. Like in Summerwell's case, I think that it's actually screaming that that is what's very likely, and not just her, you know. The other daughter that, quote unquote, went missing. And well, it is a generational curse, and it's because they never get the help that they need. They never, even if they don't want to be like that, they don't ever take the steps and the appropriate measures to get the help that they need. And then you have, the other elements that come in after the fact with the self-medicating with alcohol and meth and, cocaine and all sorts of other various substances. But meth more because it's cheaper than, what the others cost, back in the day, with heroin and things like that. So it's cheaper, it's easier to make, and people can make it up in their house. And, you have children in the home and they're getting exposed to it, and pregnant women doing it, and they're exposing their babies to the toxicity of it. And a lot of it stems from untreated mental health illnesses, untreated traumas, PTSD, never dealing with SA trauma that might have happened in their life. In this case, Katrina's super young, and, she's dating an abuser, and the father of Elijah, who isn't Jesse, the boyfriend, Jimmy, he's in prison. I've looked at his record. It's just as bad. And how you get entangled in that. And when you look at, what these addictions do to people, it is really terrible. I just want to show you this picture. I wasn't planning to, so I hadn't. Let me just find a good one. Katrina has so many Facebook pages. It's crazy. So this is, Katrina now. Look at her face. I mean, she looks old. She looks frail. She's turning into nothing. And this was a picture, that I was able to capture off one of her Facebook pages. And obviously she's turned to the side, but when you look at her, I mean, you can tell she just looks like a beautiful, healthy young woman. I mean, it's unbelievable how easy it is to identify somebody who is using meth. An abuser has 2 kids who are abused. Then these 2 kids have 2 kids who are abused, and the cycle goes on and on. Yeah, it is. It's a repetitive cycle. Well, I don't think that they open up. Well, first of all, when they first take somebody into custody, you know, they're going to go through a long period of withdrawals. And that might affect their mental state even more. And then after that, you know, once they've been in there for a while, I think reality sets in. And then there's probably some severe emotions and possibly a huge breakdown that happens, and if they are getting therapy while in custody, that might be the opportunity. But I don't know if any of you guys watched a lot of the Chris and Shanann Watts case. I don't know if any of you guys have watched like his interrogation, his polygraph, his confessions. And then later there was a very, very lengthy, oh man, it might have been 3 or 6 hour long. I would call it more of like a conversational interview where they went to Wisconsin because he was transferred to Wisconsin for safety. And the investigators and the polygrapher, they ended up going back there to the prison to talk to him, like on a more personal level, and they recorded all of it. And I've watched it. And the woman, I think she was FBI. I want to say she was FBI, but I could be wrong. Or maybe like the state level FBI. But she was also the one who gave him the polygraph exam. And the way she talked to him was so kind and nice, and she was very soft, and he was so willing to start talking to her. And that was the same when they ended up going back well after the conviction to Wisconsin. And the 2 of them, the male and the female, when they did, they were nice. They were nice. They were respectful. They were kind of upfront, like, we're here, we really want to understand things. And, but the way that they went about it, I feel like that approach that woman took, if they could get her to go talk to Katrina and Katie, I think we'd have answers. And don't get me wrong, I do not believe that, and I think we know Katrina was not there at the time he went missing. So I don't believe she, directly harmed him, so to speak. If there was a sale, she could be aware of that and she could talk about that. I think there's more about the business dealings of Jesse she could shed light on. And just in case any of those like nefarious people just come on YouTube and for some reason pulled up this video, it just really, I think that some of these people need to understand. If you have knowledge and you didn't hurt these children, you have options. You know, you can call an attorney, and your attorney can go and try to talk to the DA, can try to talk to prosecutors involved, you know, police involved on your behalf, and just say, look, my client has information. They want to talk, but they want this or they want that. I mean, so we can get answers. I mean, it sounds bad because you don't want people getting reward money if they're a bad person doing bad things. But I mean, if it means giving the answers that get these children found and get the right people behind bars, you know, I don't think in Sebastian's case that, you know, we're going to have that. But in Elijah's case, the vehicle that the police impounded was actually a neighbor's vehicle. And I believe that there were a lot of comings and goings happening out of Jesse's apartment. And I'm really interested, which is probably why they're saying, like, we have tons and tons of footage we are repeatedly going through. I think there's footage of other players who might have some pieces to the puzzle. But the cost of coming forward, you know, whether when you're living that lifestyle, you could be a snitch, you could be losing money, you could get, you know, harmed. Wait a minute. What do you mean when she talked on Saturday? I didn't hear this. Joseph, I think it's entirely possible. I think it's extremely, and why can I not remember if it was a daughter, which would have been, that also went missing in Summer's family. But I think it's the same thing. I do believe there were sales involved in Summer's case. And I know that a lot of people, you know, I've heard she's in a well or she's, you know, this and that, and it's totally possible. But I've watched a lot of footage of, yeah. And I'm glad the other kids are gone out of that home. And maybe they have a chance. And maybe one of the kids one day will share. No way. Are you serious? I did not see this anywhere. If you know the creator, I don't care. You can say the creator's name in my chat. I'm not bougie like that. I don't have a problem with that. Yes, it was Candace's sister. Because I was thinking it was Brandis's daughter. I want to see what M. Kaz is talking about. I did not hear Katie talk. Cluminati. Is that the name of her channel? I hear her talked about a lot. I think I've seen a couple of hers posted in a couple of groups. Is that the name of her channel, Cluminati, or does she have another name for her channel? If you can tell me, because I'll try to find that while I'm sitting here. I can't believe this. The last time I heard her talk, aside from the background of maybe the web sleuth, maybe the web sleuth in the background, I think. But I haven't heard her talk in forever. So does Katie go on? I know what you mean, though. I know how to spell it. Does Katie go on this channel has she been on this channel? Like the last time I heard her like speak, was like Nancy Grace, okay, on Patrol Live, Smiley Story. Oh, I wonder if I gotta check what in the world? You're blowing my mind right now. See, people say things about certain people, and you know, I'm just, I guess I'll just say like I'm pretty mindful of the content that I watch, and every now and then I do have to watch people I don't like just because that's the show that they went on. So let me see if okay, so I have no. Like okay, she was on Duchess, Smiley's World, Reels. That was the news. That was Nancy Grace. Hold up. No. All right. So interesting. You think it was a call in, but like you could hear her. Okay. I am, okay. Now I have to look it up. Illuminati. What? Okay, so this would have been Saturday. So I have 7 days ago, 9 days ago. Okay, I'm probably gonna go on her channel to find this. This probably live. Let's see. Does she do lives? The Amish do hold secrets 2 days ago. Does that sound right? Oh my gosh. A 7-hour stream? Good Lord. I would pass out for real. Holy cow. We did 3 hours the other night and I could barely. Whoa. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So, I wasn't planning to jump around like this. Now you got me. Okay. So if I can get a little poll going in the chat, um, who did hear it already? If there are people, but she didn't go to the vigil, right? I didn't see anything with them being at the vigil. Am I wrong? What were they there? Because there was multiple different, streams of okay, they were not there. Okay. Wait. So, but Katie speaks on this Cluminati thing. Can someone M Cos, can you confirm that Katie is on the Cluminati thing at some point? I'm just mind blown. So I didn't know that they had their little favorite person. I know that they early on were calling Duchess, did Duchess a couple times, and they coordinated with the billboards, but I really did not know that they had, Smiley. Okay. So she probably watched it. Let me see if she has the shorter version. Cause man, 7.5 hours. Good gracious. What in the world? How do you even do that? Like, that's crazy. Okay, so maybe that's why I haven't heard this, but I also haven't really heard it like circulating. So let me see. Um, Many more. Okay, that was when Seth jumped on. That was 3 days ago. So I need to go to 2 days ago. Okay, I see 1 day ago and then 3 days ago. Maybe it's on the Let's Talk. Let me see. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm trying to see if it's this Let's Talk video because she didn't really title it like they called in. Really? Wow, you guys are kind of dropping a little something on me here. I didn't, well, they must be talking about it because something, let me see here. I just jump in the transcripts. And scan a little bit here. Okay, so she's talking about them not showing up. Let me see. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to like fast forward around the video to see if she plays something because. Okay, so here she's showing when the replay of them calling in. Not calling in, when Seth and all of them popped in. Okay, so this is not the video. Sorry, you guys got me going on a rabbit hole now. Now I gotta find this video. Katie, let me just try this and see if I can find it. It was a month ago. Come on. This would have been just a couple days ago. 3 days ago. Could it be, is it from, could it be the same one that when Seth and them called? No, because that was before the vigil. Why am I not seeing? Oh, I'm going to have to go to Clunati's page. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm like, this is a big deal to me because we haven't heard her talk in so long. That I have to. She's playing now. Cluminati is playing. What I'm looking at, she's playing Seth and the Poop Show. Whoa, okay. Heather Tyrion. What? Where was I? When did this happen? I did not. What? I'm so, you guys, you're killing me. So who is this swearing? Who is the cussing guy? It doesn't sound like Chris. I know, we're getting all. Oh, here we go. Okay, okay, I found it. We'll see if we get a little something out of this.
Have done some very heinous comments, threats. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And I mean,
And don't worry, hang with me. I'm not going to play like 2 hours of this stream or anything. So I'm just getting a little snippet of what's going on.
we do turn them into law enforcement. So, I mean, it's not like, oh my God, we're going to delete them. No, we turn them into law enforcement, just so that they are aware, like, look, this is a continuous thing. There is a difference in an opinion and a threat.
Right.
And we have received those. And who wants to be alone? I mean, don't take this the wrong way,
Understood.
but there are some crazies out there that will do some pretty crazy stuff. Nobody's going to want to be alone, and that's just not fair. So,
I can 100% agree with that. I figured that would be your answer. And I know this has been answered before, but apparently, people can't seem to grasp it. So I'm going to ask it again. Dogs have been through your house, both cadaver and search dogs, correct?
oh yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, anywhere from 13 to 18 different dogs have been in my house. I mean, several times. I mean, I know for a fact in the first 8 days, I've had more people in this house than have been in this house in the last 2 years that I know of.
Right. I can understand that. If you were going to tell people what they should do, search related, would you have your personal opinion on where people should search? If by knowing how Sebastian is, knowing his personality, if you were going to look at a map and say, okay, he ran out, which that's my belief is that he ran out the front door. From there's been a massive search within the 5-mile radius. Do you feel like it's time to search outside of that 5-mile radius, or do we need to go further than 10, 15, 20?
I personally, as much as I have seen, and I mean, Seth and his crew, I believe, has seen the same maps that we've all seen. The 5-mile radius has been from the house has been very thoroughly checked. Now, am I going to say 1,000% every little grass blade has been inspected? No, but as much as they have searched, I'd say going outside of the 5-mile radius would be a good start. Instead of just staying inside of that 5-mile radius. Now, if there is something, that has not been discovered or somebody comes across something and it may suggest otherwise, by all means, I am not going to say don't. But I mean, if we just stay inside that 5-mile radius, then we are not doing Sebastian any justice.
Right. And I completely understand that. I have one more question. This is going to be a really tough question that I'm going to ask with respect. Okay.
No,
and I fully expect you to tell me that you're not going to answer it. There has been a massive amount of information, misinformation, different information that's related to Seth and Katie and when Seth and Katie met, and a comment that Seth had made about termination before Sebastian was born. And as a man, I have to ask, was the relationship between Seth and Katie something you would not be okay with your daughter having a relationship with when they met each other when she was underage?
Well, I can answer that. I mean, there's no question. No, my daughter would not. And I don't care who it is. My daughter will not have any form of a relationship in that magnitude, period, with a man. I don't care.
Okay.
My daughter is just as
And I
important
meant
to
that
me
I
as
was
Sebastian, but I
was using your, not to interrupt you, I was using your daughter as an example. What I meant, I guess what I'm trying to say is, was there a relationship between Katie and Seth that occurred before she was 18 years old that would be inappropriate as a father, for you to look at as a father? Does that make sense?
yes, sir. From what I understand, yes.
Okay.
Now, and I will say this much: that is not. I have what the two parties have told me before, to go off of. I mean, Seth has made his statements. Katie, I know where she stands with it. I mean, it is what it is, and it sucks that the tragedy of Sebastian going missing has dug out so much dirt and negative, and it's really sad that it has to get to that point where things get to this, and it has actually absolutely nothing to do with Sebastian missing. I just I still don't understand why YouTube and TikTok and everybody out there has to dig. I mean, I do understand it to a point, but I don't at the same time. Meaning, you know, I know it's clicks and it's money and it's, you know, the juicy drama that a lot of people feed on. But quite honestly, if the channel is about finding Sebastian or it's finding missing children, not just Sebastian, but other folks,
Right.
I think if everybody got back to where their heart was when they started their channels, it would, I mean, it would be amazing how much everybody could work together and come as one big cohesive unit and turn around and find a way to make this work and find the people, not just one child, but find everybody.
Right. I know. You know what? I think you're 100% correct. I'm going to ask this last one. I promise you,
No,
and then
you're
I'll
good.
shut up. It's kind of a combination of two. The first one would be, is there any comment or theories that you've heard on YouTube or otherwise that you think are absolutely ridiculous and you'd like to take the opportunity to shut down or at least give some insight onto why that's a waste of resources and you know, people's time that are out searching and looking for Sebastian?
So personally, people are going to be upset with this answer. Um, I think all of the assumptions and all the things that are out there being said are bogus. I truly do. I think they're absolutely hogwash. And for people to continuously entertain them, other than just stepping back and just trying to look at it from just maybe it is just so simple that it's that complicated that a 15-year-old child walked out of a house and has disappeared. And after everybody's said anything and asked all these questions, you know, and
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Spoken to Chris tonight with the utmost respect.
Me, it's not me. I mean, there's a way 90 something percent of this, but instead have the green light, this is our business.
I can
You know,
appreciate
until it becomes a concern that has to be addressed. Like, well, this person's being investigated for. She was discussed and talked with TBI. They called us and said, no, she's legit. For the record, you know, it's just me and this was there, I believe her name was Captain Canine Jules Valente. I think it's remember her name?
Valente, yeah.
Yeah. We had a very long conversation. We did. And I told her, I said, if you have something that law enforcement doesn't, I am very open to accept it. But if you just have the same thing that law enforcement has, you know, I don't want anybody else in my house. I don't. And it's no disrespect to anybody unless you got something, or unless law enforcement themselves come to Katie and myself and say, hey, look, we want to do this. If they say that, they know they have the green light to go ahead, but they will have to be here. Other than that, I'm sorry, folks. I love the help, but I don't need people in and out of my house. I don't. I'm not going to. And it's no disrespect, but there are other ways if you need things that we will accomplish those things. But people aren't coming in my house. Period.
Chris, at this point in the day, I don't blame you. At this point in the day, I do not blame you for not letting anyone in and out of your house.
The rest of them, what is it going to do different?
People talk about
Much attention. I wouldn't dwindle.
So if I understand it right,
Every single day.
I'm just saying he needs to be out here sharing with his cousin then.
obviously I want to put
But as far
You asked me this earlier. Heal with it, and all those PIs, and then Seth gets on and all that stuff. Like, okay, You can tell me it wasn't, but I'm going to disagree with you that you guys had every intention of what you did. You did it on purpose.
Give us the precise
Didn't.
circumstances, and I think that he would be able to maybe understand your personality because he, if I'm not mistaken, he's in the
Sorry, I can't. I didn't realize I was still muted. If somebody has any insight into when she came on, let me know because I can't find it. So, but I'm curious and I'll have to go back and look at it. So Kelly, you were actually there. That is really awesome that you were able to be there for that. I'm sure it was, super emotional. This case, well, first of all, if you didn't see, I share a lot on the community tab. My understanding is Nina is coming. She's found a way. I don't know if probation approved it and the finances, and guess she probably had her truck fixed or what, but she's supposedly coming. And that is just, it's so upsetting to me. And I don't know if any of you watched Duty Ron, and he talked about had EquiSearch on there, and if they're invited, they will come. And then the woman with EquiSearch, she was saying, it's these kind of people that make it hard for people to trust the real professionals. And it just absolutely disgusts me that you would rather have a felon and grifters part of this situation than take the real help. Like, seriously. I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't. Let's see. Okay. Because I'm going to, I had shared on my community tab the local news interview, and I was kind of surprised because in the comments, people weren't picking up what I was putting down and catching on to like what I had caught on to. But then later, Sweet Tea with Don B, he caught it just like I did, and so I am going to feature his video. Yeah, Tony's full of it. He's full of it, and I think you only need to look at Caleb Harris's case to see what little good he is doing. The lies in Caleb Harris's case. What was the thing that he had said? Let me see. I have it like right here. I'm trying to figure out who Ashley Simmons is, and I'm also trying to figure out who this Nicole is. I can't really get to the bottom of that yet. Oh, okay. Tony made a post in Caleb Harris's group, and he had said that Pascal was the one that connected him with Seth. And I haven't seen the video on Pascal's channel, but my understanding from other creators, they're saying that he said he's taking a step back. I don't know if that means something happened in Tennessee where he was picking up on shadiness maybe, and he was like, what's going on here? Okay, maybe he had to see it in person, and he was like, oh, you know, um, but he said something about, oh, what did he say? That he, in the Caleb Harris case, talked about this witness, and it was an eyewitness, and Tony was the one who did the interview with this eyewitness himself, and talked about it on TikTok and was acting like he had more information than law enforcement did. And when Caleb Harris's family was on Jen Coffendoffer, I think it was yesterday, they said that the eyewitness was not credible. He was not, Tony said he vetted him, that he's out there talking about how accurate he was. And no, the guy kept changing his story. Like it was just nothing. And that's similar to how I've talked about him saying that he had evidence, the word evidence of the text messages between Sebastian and Katie's mom. It's a lie. It's just a bold-faced lie. And then there was him on TikTok, I think it was last night, talking about the evidence. How Seth is driving around with tagged and bagged evidence and called it clothing, and that it was sent to that law enforcement wouldn't pick it up, and that he's still driving around with it, which it's like, really, if you're driving around with it, like literally take it to him. I mean, but was thinking about the pants that Terry Lynn found, and I thought, wait a minute, we watched, that be like retrieved. So what clothes is he driving around with that are tagged and bagged, and who tagged them and who bagged them? And did you possibly affect the chain of custody? Like what's going on there? And so let's see. Trevor Lee reached out to TBI, and I saw Trevor had an email that he thought they responded because they thought he was in newsroom. And they said that they did not believe there was an abduction at this stage in the investigation, but based on the cumulative nature of information gathered from tips and investigative findings, and especially in addition to concerns for the potential welfare of this teen due to his health concerns, lack of medication, and weather threats, the alert level was, oh wait, this is from February 28th. So I think he was sharing that because February 28th, it was deemed not an abduction really quickly. I don't know. But anyways, Tony was on his disappearing TikTok lives, which everybody seems to agree with me is like the dumbest thing in the world. How are you raising awareness about a child when you're going and you're supposedly supposed to be talking about him, but they really don't hardly ever talk about him. And you're on a disappearing live. Like, what is that? And how many people don't have TikTok? I will tell you that the dominant age of the viewers of my channel are between the ages of 40 and 60. And I don't think that there's a ton of people over the age of 45, 50 that are, all over TikTok, and personally, like the couple times I was ever on TikTok, it was just to be funny. Okay, I will do that in a minute. Well, here's what I'm gonna quick feature Sweet Tea with Don B's video, because he was picking up on what I was putting down when I shared that where is it? When I shared the news link, and again, if you're not subscribed to him, you need to, because he, he's just like right on top of everything as well. I mean, he really knows and seems to just tell it like it is. And I am going to copy. I'll paste the link to his video in the chat too, in case you want to watch it again later. But he picked up on exactly what I picked up on.
I hope you're having a good day. Another hot one here where I'm at, but apparently Seth has made the news. WKRN Channel 2 News. They must have done an interview with Seth, I guess, during the bike ride vigil. And Seth, we'll just say he voiced some concerns about the local police department and some stuff going on with Sebastian Rogers, the investigation. So what I'm going to do is we're going to listen to this. We're going to listen to this news piece, and then I'm going to give some commentary on it. So let's jump into it, guys.
Thank you, Mark. A missing teenager's father wants an overhaul to the investigation. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller. 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers disappeared from Sumner County back in February. Now his father tells News 2's Nikki McGee how he wants the investigation to change.
This week will mark 3 months since Sebastian Rogers went missing. And as you might imagine, his father Seth has mounting concerns, some of which he shared with News 2 during a bike ride vigil held for Sebastian Sunday.
I don't sense a state of urgency from them. It's not their kid, it's mine.
Although the FBI...
Okay, so Seth says that he doesn't feel a sense of urgency with the police because it's his kid and not theirs. I've got a theory behind that. I got a theory behind that, but let's listen to a little bit more.
FBI and TBI have been assisting the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. Seth would now like to see the case turned over to the FBI to take the lead.
I tell people when you see something, say something. And then they turn around and they tell me they see something and they never get a response. They call the sheriff's department. A lady called me. She got my number. She was like, I waited over 4 hours and nobody showed up.
The Sumner County...
So apparently some lady called the police about something related that she thought would be related to the Sebastian Rogers case. Waited over 4 hours and nothing. So that's what he's saying there.
The Sheriff's Office tells News 2 they do share in Seth's urgency and are following up on all tips. Another disappointment, Seth driving all the way out to North Carolina after a possible signing of Sebastian, only to be told he need to go through his local sheriff's office to see the surveillance. The Sheriff's Office tells News 2 ultimately it wasn't Sebastian.
All right, so we all know about the North Carolina photo that got circulated and everybody thought it might have been Sebastian. Apparently Seth went out there and they told him that he would have to contact his sheriff's office to get information about that. So we'll go ahead and finish listening to this, and then I'll give my commentary on everything.
I just wanted to see his body language, the way the child was walking, to see if it was possibly my son. And You know, the lady, her and her son, I would like to say thank you because that gave me a little bit of hope.
News 2 asked the sheriff's office and the DA if they would consider turning the case over to the FBI.
All right, did y'all hear that? Let me replay that for you.
I would like to say thank you because that gave me a little bit of hope.
News 2 asked the sheriff's office and the DA if they would consider turning the case over to the FBI.
Okay, they asked the sheriff's office and the DA. He asked them if they would be considering to turn it over to the FBI. I'll come back to that in just a minute. It's very important right there.
Investigators say they'll continue to work with other law enforcement agencies, and the DA didn't wish to comment on an ongoing investigation.
There you go. There you go, guys. Okay, so you're saying, well, Don B, that's just a news interview. Touche, touche. It is not just a news interview. There's a lot of important information in this news piece right here. A lot of important information. Remember when the police came out and said that put up, but I don't do like long videos, real long videos. But apparently the police have come out and said it's not a criminal investigation. Let me ask you this. If it's not a criminal investigation, why was there a search warrant, which there had to be enough evidence for a judge to sign off on it, an affidavit for the search warrant?
Bingo.
To go search a landfill. Now, the two things that make me think this is a criminal investigation: the search of the landfill and a district attorney is involved. When's the last time you heard of a district attorney being involved with a runaway? Right? Somebody's in trouble. Somebody's in trouble. They got their eyes set on somebody. They've got their eyes set on somebody.
The FBI. Investigators say they'll continue to work with other law enforcement agencies, and the DA didn't wish to comment on an ongoing investigation.
Hell no, the DA is not going to comment on an ongoing investigation. This criminal guy, this is criminal. This, I don't care what anybody says.
Yes, yes.
I got a gut feeling this is criminal based on a DA being involved and a landfill being searched. I got a feeling.
Meet Eric Hovde, the Senate candidate who said seniors shouldn't vote.
If you're in a nursing home, you only have 5-6 month life expectancy. Almost nobody in a nursing home is in a point to vote.
Now Hovde's company is being sued for elder abuse. You've seen the ads. Now get the truth.
Auto insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to file claims.
We ain't talking about a runaway here.
Yeah. Yes.
And I got a feeling.
Yes, Rocco, it's recent.
Somebody's ass is in trouble.
Today. That interview.
So the next question I got is.
The interview was done Saturday.
What do police have? I know they've got something to go search that landfill. But what evidence did they put in that affidavit for the search warrant? Where did they get that evidence? Where did police get the evidence to put in that affidavit for a search warrant on that landfill? What was the evidence? And where did they get it? Did they get it from the home that Sebastian Rogers disappeared from? Did they get it from a vehicle that Sebastian Rogers may have been in earlier in the day? Did they get it maybe from the trash can or the trash in or around the house. Just because they've got a trash can outside doesn't mean that police didn't search the trash inside the house. Doesn't mean.
So my thought on the landfill was originally, and I've had this thought for a while, was if you look, okay, your trash goes out at 6 o'clock at night. I don't know about most of you, but sorry about that. I was thinking to myself, if the trash went out, and we know the trash was super heavy, did they have really full garbage in the house or entirely bare with no waste whatsoever when the home was searched? Because most of us pull that last bag out of our kitchen. Oh, hell no. Ugh. Okay. So, yeah, I thought, okay, I take my garbage out, and when I'm taking it out, the night before, I pull the final bag out of my kitchen, go toss it in the trash, pull it to the curb, put another bag in, and then inevitably we've, have some trash in there that night, something, whether it's a straight plate of leftovers or, Kleenex, something, I don't know about you guys, but I would have some trash in my bag by the next morning. If I took my garbage out the night before, I would have something in like my kitchen trash. It would not be bare empty. And the other thought process was, if it was full, if their trash was full and they didn't find anything maybe substantial, but your trash is full and you have this really full bin and it's just a mom and a son, there that week, like, and then, part of me thought like, was something missing from his room? Because I've had my thoughts on the bedding in the bedroom, and Seth didn't respond to that in the various attempts I made to ask that question. I've tried asking that question for like 3 months on multiple other creators platforms, through my own. In Facebook groups, I've gotten no answer to that. Has been, what did his bedspread look like? Okay, so let's just say he had, yellow blankets, a yellow comforter, white sheet, white pillowcase. When you went there on the 26th, when he was reported missing, was that the same bedding and bedspread on his bed that you normally see? Or was it something different? I'm really have been very curious to know that, as well as there is a picture of Sebastian. And I don't know why I'm hung up on blankets. Don't ask me why. I really don't know. But there is a picture of Sebastian out there. And I'm going to find the picture. And I know I have pointed this out for some of you who have been here a long time. Yes, I know I pulled this picture up and said this before, but there's people here who have not, maybe heard me ask about this. Where is that picture? Let's see. Where is it? That was such a cute picture too. Don't go now. There it is. Bam. Okay, loading. That's picture 1. Okay, right here. Let me this blanket. He is wearing sorry guys. I don't know what's going on, what I'm doing here. Why is that not sharing? Oh, don't befuddle me now. Let's start over. Share the screen. This blanket, okay? He's wearing this blanket and he's walking around the house, and Scotty reminds me of my son because my son has a particular blanket. He doesn't usually always sleep with it per se. Sometimes he does, but like, he will walk around, when he's kind of being casual, and he loves that blanket. I have been trying to find out if that blanket is in the house. This orange, brown, gold plaid blanket. So I'm with them on trying to figure out like, well, something, is unaccounted for maybe, or something that could be, that they went looking for. So, but yes, as soon as you hear the district attorney refuse to comment, on the investigation, that tells me they're involved. The district attorney is involved. And, they always like to say, well, it's not like it is on TV. Well, the reality is a district attorney will tell you, if you're law enforcement, look, you don't got enough. It's circumstantial. We can't bring this with what you have. Go back, keep working, bring me something better. And yeah, okay. And the other, thing that Don picked up on, that I picked up on, was, the talking about the FBI and, in TBI. And he and I both are in agreement that I think TBI is running this show, and Sumner County is really not doing a lot of the behind the scenes work. And and they'll be called if the people that are apprehended for potentially doing something to Sebastian are in Sumner County at the time. Otherwise, TBI would contact whatever county those people are in at that moment. But, we're both in agreement that we think that at this stage, TBI is running the show. And that, Seth doesn't need to be begging for the FBI to be involved, because I think they are. And I think that part of Seth's frustration is probably the same as mine is, regardless if there's an investigation going on, it's very hard to swallow that, they're not doing searches. But, now you have AquaSearch saying, hey, parents, if you want us to come, we'll come. And now Nina's coming. And so it's really to the point where it's like, it's scary that, it's scary because there's other things that are stemming from Sebastian's case that I think aren't going to go away. And I think that is your Nina, your Tony, and these other people who I have not fully done the digging in. So really quick, before I read what I was going to read, let me answer a couple of you. Chris called his mom to go be with Katie that morning. It's not too big of a deal, just something that is new. No, that is a big deal, because there's been a lot of people fighting, like, no, you did not see Kathy Bowersock's vehicle near the gas station, near the high school. You didn't see nothing to see here. And then you have other people saying, no, I saw her car in our neighborhood. Didn't you see this or didn't you see that? Well, okay, now Chris himself is saying, yeah, she was there. Oh, okay, well, we'll just say that, I called her to go there. Convenient. Very convenient. This would be the same mother and probably sister that helped you basically steal your child from her mother. Yeah, and I think a lot of people get their vehicles confused, and the colors and things like that. Mom mad, what happened? So stepdad Chris said that his mother, Kathy Bowersock, was at their home the morning Sebastian went missing, because he called and asked his mom to go there. As far as him saying he wasn't home for a while, I don't believe everything about that. I do not believe that he was not home at all since early February. I absolutely call BS on that. And I think that law enforcement knows it. There are certain things. Oh, yeah, Kay. And maybe she was giving her son a ride, And that's how his truck could be in one place and his body be, Chris's physical body could be in a different location than his truck. Maybe he got a ride. We've talked about this. Who gave him a ride? Family? Did a coworker borrow him a vehicle? How could he have maybe made it? Because if his wife called him in a panic, could he make it from Horn Lake, Mississippi to Hendersonville and back to the job site by 5:15 in the morning? Yes, we've done the math. The math is mathing. And there are things in this case that there are things that other people have dismissed and moved on from that I am still just saying, short of district attorney or the FBI telling me 100% it is not so, I'm not buying it. Like the flashlight video, I believe there was something happening, whether it was transporting him into a vehicle, luring him to a vehicle, carrying him to a vehicle, somebody coming home, pulling up on the property so some business could be taken care of, or chasing somebody out the door and yanking them back in. I don't know entirely what yet. I can't say with certainty, but I will not give up on that video. And I don't think that for a second that TBI has dismissed that video. I don't care if they told the parents it was a garbage truck. No, not at all. And I don't believe that Sebastian would go out the back door because he would go out this door because he was cognizant of the neighbor's camera would show him if he went out a different door. No, I don't think that our children are aware of the location and thinking about where our neighbors' cameras are. No. I mean, maybe some, but not likely, in my opinion. And again, not likely without shoes. And I believe the shoes are with Sebastian, and I believe there's a pair of shoes missing. Is possible. Well, okay. I'm not entirely 100%. I think that, but the fact that she will not, she was so hesitant to confirm, and we heard it from her mouth. I'm not going to confirm the number of pairs of shoes he has, but they were accounted for. Well, that tells me there's more to the shoe situation. But in my mind goes to the picture of him in that t-shirt and his jammy pants and his fuzzy blanket and walking around and, like his socks, just chill in the house and, something goes wrong. Yeah. Kay, that's why I have wanted to ask Seth about his observations when he went in the home. And I don't hear any, and now maybe they will, but any of the creators he goes on, I have not heard any of them ask him, what were your observations of Sebastian's room when you were in there, of his bed? And I have asked a million times, about this, specifically the bedding. Was the room but he said things like, I didn't really know about cameras because, I wasn't really like trying to nosy around like that when I'd stop there and pick him up and, but I'd be surprised if Sebastian, wasn't like, oh, hey, Dad, come look at this in my room, or hey, Dad, let me grab something, and, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have misunderstood me for so long that I think that law enforcement needs to be telling us what their case is when I say I'm frustrated. No, I'm frustrated because I don't understand why they can't be searching. You can still have searches. Again, 2 Rivers for Elijah Boo. They're doing both, walking and chewing gum at the same time. Right. We don't know if his bed was a mess. We don't know if his, not, and I don't know, like if his bed was kind of just, looked like someone had slept in it, like what that might say or not say, in the sense that, if they went out and about for the day, was, would he normally make his bed on a Sunday morning? I don't know. Or was he in the bed and then, maybe he couldn't sleep and he was getting kind of squirrely and, was out in the living room. you know, or how she says, you know, I went to wake him up, you know, for school. And, you know, well, then I thought he was maybe making breakfast, but yet she walked by the kitchen to get to his bedroom. So if he was in the kitchen making breakfast, she would have seen him. Like, it's just like, you know, despite like it is a nice house, but overall, it doesn't look like it's crazy large. And you know, other than the office space above the garage, I mean, it's one level. Um, you know, like, I don't know. You know what's going on in your house. And if you're sleeping on the couch and you think he walked off before midnight, you know, did he walk right past you? I just, you know, and you're on the phone, you know, and he walked right past you. You know, and you could have been sleeping so lightly because Chris, you know, and that's the other thing. You fell asleep, but obviously then on the couch, and I'm still trying to figure out if you're on the phone on the couch with Chris and you fall asleep and he's able to wake you up. Like, did you fall asleep with the phone at your ear? Was he on speakerphone? Like, what did that, you know, look like? Well, and I mean, you know, there's a lot of debate. You know, we have, you know, sometimes it's all about, well, he was a very neat child. He really wanted to be clean. And there was other times it was like, well, you know, he struggled to keep his room a mess, you know, and then half the time it's, he was so well behaved at school, just a little bit of social awkwardness. And then, you know, other times it was like he had behavior issues. And then I'm like, well, something had to be going on at school if he was going to be homeschooled. And, you know, his dad was telling him, look, this is just going to be temporary. You know, hopefully you'll be back on the right path and, you know, you'll be able to go to school in person. Well, what was going on at school? Or did Chris just say, we got to get him out of the school because he's acting up, and Seth was none the wiser and they wanted him out of the school because he was telling his teacher about what was happening at home? I mean, but my whole thing about Tony and Nina and why they're a problem is because they will be doing this after Sebastian is like found and this is over. They're just going to move on to the next family. You know, was he maxing out on his scheme with Caleb's family? And now he's moved on to the next. You know, what is he doing for them? You know, what good has he done for them? You know, my theory, I'll just put it out here. Because look, there's no way Randy Harris is going to talk to me because, you know, I've been really singled out and banned from things that Tony runs. So obviously he knows, you know, my feelings. So I'll just say it. I think that it was a mistake. I think that the situation he got caught up in when he opened his door thinking he was getting his food, I think they got the wrong person. And I think it was a big mistake. But it's too late, you know, for that now. But I think that they need to talk to neighbors. Well, I think that law enforcement, I think that Randy Harris needs to ask law enforcement if there are any confidential informants in the apartment complex that law enforcement has. And That's about as far as I'm going to go on that. But I'll just get that out there because a lot of people wanted to know the last time I said that, what was my big deal, and don't try giving, false tips, or hope to the Harris family. I'm not giving them any tips. It's not a tip. It's not a tip. It's a piece of advice. I think you should call law enforcement and ask them if they have any confidential informants in the apartment complexes there. That's what I'm asking. And my thoughts are that he is still in Corpus Christi. But what good is has Tony done for them? I mean, yeah, he was able to get together a big chunk of money, but now you want to take Nina away and she's this big saving grace and you're going to pull her from Texas and bring her up to Tennessee because she's better than EquiSearch, right? With all her credentials. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. And this is who Seth is putting his faith behind. And the reality is no matter what happened to Sebastian, you want to find Sebastian. Tony is not going to find Sebastian. Nina is not. Maybe she will. Maybe she would. Because you know what? She has a criminal mind. Maybe she would. I don't know. Yeah, it makes me want to puke. And we know that the Secret Service, we know the FBI are involved. I think that, they need to just stop worrying about that stuff and just remain focused on the search, which is what brings me to Chloe. Because I about flipped a lid today. I'm really sick of people and the way that they just treat people. I'm just sick of them. Look, we have disagreements here all the time, differences of opinions, but we can be mature and act like grown adults. I mean, for heaven's sake. But I'm just sick of how some of these good people are being treated. So here's a statement today from Chloe. Oh wait, no, that was not it. Here it is. Apparently, I've upset some people on the interwebs, not local or connected to the case, by not sharing our exact locations of search. This grievance is caused by the interweb dwellers believing I am fluttering around random woods with no direction. This is not the case. We have listened to law enforcement, saw our texts, and used the original EMA maps to formulate points of execution in our searches. I am happy to share maps with those who are boots on the ground, reliable, and here for the right reasons. We began clearing a 20-plus acre property today. Got a lot covered. I cannot thank the local community enough for allowing us to search your private properties. So, first of all, the reference to private property, I already indicated that really made me so mad that when Seth was chewing out Trevor, that he would say, don't you guys go around using my name to search private property. What? What? Yes, use my name. Use my name to find my child. Hello. That was just the most frustrating thing I have ever heard. The message I read, that was an email from TBI on February 28th, 2 days after Sebastian went missing, says in that message, they do not believe it was an abduction. So she is out there regardless of every nasty thing that people have said about her, including Seth, including Chris. Despite what the parents of the child have horrible things they have said about her, she is still out there doing this regardless. Now, if you can't tell me he screwed up by choosing to work with felonious people rather than somebody who's got a heart like that, I mean, seriously, one of the greatest mistakes of his life. One, it's terrible. And I said to her, don't respond to anyone. Stay focused on what you are doing, which is a lot more than most. And you know what she said to me? She says, it's not just me. There are a wonderful group of people with me every step of the way. Not even taking credit. She is talking about those other people. And they're the locals. They're the mothers. They're the mothers who are picturing Sebastian as their own child. They're the guys out there taking time, whenever they have free time, before or after work. I mean, and it is the way they're being treated. Even if, you're not calling out some of those volunteers by name, what the decisions Seth is making is a slap in the face to those people. And it's a slap in the face to professional organizations like EquiSearch and Q. And you would rather bring aside from being a felon. There's so many other things. And Tony, you'd rather have those people on your team, and whoever all these other names are. I mean, I think it was an Ashley, Nicole. I mean, now I have to wonder okay, I see a Nicole Owens. I don't know who she is yet. I don't know where she's from, so it's hard to figure out, her background. But these people are going to be the ones that are going to remain and infiltrate all these other missing person cases and take advantage. And right from who is an admin with Tony in their group, somebody had asked, Tony and Seth will have a YouTube page or you? And this woman replied, Tony will. I'm sure Seth may join sometimes. So this is Tony. It's Tony. We see what a shoot show he's got going on TikTok. And look, he has more people following him than I have following me. So that just tells you people are taking in what he's putting out. And then somebody asked, flat out asked him, is he going to monetize it? He said, will it be monetized or like T-Rev and not monetized? But T-Rev is monetized. as far as I'm aware of. But there are people hardcore in his own Facebook group going after him about what he's doing. The point of TikTok and doing a YouTube page are to get the word out and information out about Sebastian and to give updates. He is not doing this for money. If he is not doing this for money, why would he monetize the YouTube page? And then they were, the big announcement. Saturday is the anticipated arrival of the amazing Nina, we have all of these people, I don't know if you've noticed it, but maybe you've noticed because a lot of you follow a lot of different creators that cover missing persons, true crime, court cases. Have you noticed, like, some of them are starting to trickle in other things? Starting to, hey, I'm going to do this and I'll just come back if there's a big update, or I'm not even going to entertain this anymore. It is actually making, in my opinion, more people less aware. I have seen so many people talk about how overwhelmed they are by the misinformation being shared by Seth's team, that it's literally triggering their anxiety. It's literally too much for them to comprehend, and it's stressing them out. I do know with certainty that T-Rev did move to Tennessee. Whether or not he is staying with Seth, I don't know. I know he was with Seth at the time of the vigil. I have no idea if he's actually staying there. I thought Seth had a pretty small place, and I know he was talking about getting his internet set up and all of that stuff. But yeah, T-Rev literally just moved from down to Tennessee. And so I imagine he's going to be going live again, I think maybe even tonight, tomorrow. And yeah, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Maybe he feels drawn, I know he has covered Sebastian's case and Summerwell's case for a really long time. Maybe he felt a calling there. I don't know. But yeah, I've got somebody in here, I'm looking at somebody just absolutely going nuts over this. People, okay, Tony has plans to round out his Texas trio by making Nicole his admin and Nina the search and rescue lead coming soon. I guess this didn't work out like Pascal had thought it would. So I'm guessing that he's saying Nicole is from Texas. I guess that narrows that down. He is a musician, and he's got some really incredible music. but I have heard him say like he has no interest in like doing a deal or a contract. And I mean, Tennessee, I don't know if that's maybe the place for like what he's, trying to put out, his, I don't want to call it hip hop because it sounds like hip hop rap, but it's not really the content. But anyways, I don't know. He might have shared at one point why, but I did see him, I do know he himself out of his mouth confirmed that he made that move. I'd be really surprised if he was staying with Seth, but I guess you never know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of his songs are just really about like most of his actual life experience, or inspirational type things, or talking about a lot of things that people don't want to talk about. But it's definitely something that we have to not forget, that these people are infiltrating. And I think that I did a darn good enough job making sure that they don't infiltrate the Elijah Vu case. But, they're not, it's different because, in Sebastian's case, they're not listening to anything anybody's saying. But here, with Elijah, like if you want to ask the grandma something, she'll answer you. And if you ask law enforcement, if they have an answer, they'll answer you if they can. Or if talk, and talking about, search locations and stuff like that, that's, talked about. So, it's just not the same. And, so I couldn't just say, hey, Seth, these are the questions I've been carrying around for 3 months, No, because he has from the beginning had, the people he feels, are the people he will talk to, which is, Pascal, T-Rev, are his top 2 shows to appear on. And, who knows? I don't know if he's going to end up joining on TikTok and on the new YouTube channel. I don't think the YouTube channel is going to be using Sebastian's name in its like channel name, because they're going to want to do as much as possible as they can. But I will tell you this. I have begun, and nope, it's not going to be quick, but I am working really hard on what I hope to be a somewhat of a game changer. So when this happens to other people across the country and someone goes missing, they don't have to wonder, what do I do? I am hoping to be able to have this completely free, easily accessible, pretty little package of here, and then they have these are all the things that I should maybe do when I have a loved one that goes missing. These are the resources I should call. These are some of the places I should be looking. These are some of the places that I should have flyers. This is how I should handle maybe speaking with the public, and various things like that. And I want this free, and I have thought once, like that's going to be one package, but I also want a database that, I want to create where it's easy for someone to be able to search on a state level and pull up resources beyond just search and rescue resources. And so from that side of it, a searchable database on a website, I'll probably have to get some help with that. But I want this all, and I want it to be available. And, if I can eventually get this link, to be on the websites of Q and, various law enforcement places, and it's just free. Because when you're in a position like that, you don't have, the amount of time you can't search because you're just looking for the answers. You're looking for phone numbers. You're looking for, well, do I need an attorney? How do I get a hold of media to let them know? Well, if my police department isn't taking it seriously, what are the next steps? What are, and based on maybe the reason someone went missing, like if it's a child, maybe these are the steps somebody would take versus if they were missing. Because if any of you didn't see on the community tab, I had been sharing Jonathan Holmes' missing photo, flyer, and information. And tragically, he is not with us anymore. And, he left in a mental health crisis, and he leaves behind a wife and 3 beautiful children. And so the ways you would handle if someone left for that reason might be different than the actions you would take if it was a toddler. And how you would handle, doing things for a teenager, because often we know law enforcement, when a teenager goes missing, they really think runaway for a good minute, unless there's clear evidence of foul play. So there's a lot of reasons someone can go missing, and the steps you would take in those circumstances are different. And it's so much more than just the searching. It's all the other things that you have to take care of as the loved one, beyond just searching. It's the people that you need to know that this person is missing. And like, okay, so Tamontez Hurt, I've talked about him a lot. Age 19, missing from Kansas City, Missouri. He made a call in the middle of the night to his grandma. I have a playlist on him. It was the most gut-wrenching, hearing his grandma talk. It was absolutely just, I just couldn't even. And he ended up at a hospital, and, despite the fact that she was trying to get them to understand he was unwell, not himself, whether it was, he was given a substance that maybe wasn't what he thought it was, or he had some kind of a mental break, but maybe previously had no history of mental illness, which absolutely can happen. Short and sweet, after that, he was gone. She went to the Greyhound to get on the bus to go back to his grandma's because he was in distress, and realized he left his phone in the cab, went to grab it out of the cab, and the cab pulled off on him. And then he was on camera for 72 blocks and then never seen again. And, not a lot of attention, which is typical, because one, he's technically an adult at the age of 19. So he has that working against him. He's a man of color. So he has that working against him. the last person that he was with before the police came has said a lot of really negative and awful things. And that doesn't help the situation. And so there's just, but I sent to a family friend for him at least a little mini version of what I hope to create on the things she needs to do. I think when I watched it, I think I saw, like, I guess to me, it looked like he pulled the handle and like the door was locked, when you go, you think it's going to be open, and your hand just kind of pop, it just kind of slips out. And they did get the phone back eventually from the cab company. The cab company was very nasty to the grandmother. And the grandmother still has the phone and it's locked. And so law enforcement has not looked through the phone. It took a very long time to get help from state at the state highway patrol level. But I have been really trying to get the grandmother to connect with me because I have a lot of thoughts on what needs to happen to figure out his case. But that's a really good situation where all the things I would think that she needs to do, 60% of them are applicable to his case, but they're not. That 60% of those things I would not do for Elijah or Sebastian because it's different circumstances. And the reasons are different. So that's what a lot of people don't maybe grasp sometimes is you think it's just pretty cut and dry, the actions you need to take, the people you should alert. But like in his case, I would make sure that his face is prominently displayed in emergency rooms in all the counties surrounding Kansas City, and probably throughout the state of Missouri and Tennessee, because that is where the rest of his family is, between Tennessee and St. Louis. Because if this was for any reason a mental break, or he was maybe under got a substance that wasn't what he thought it was, maybe he was smoking pot and it wasn't what is laced. Doesn't mean he didn't wander into maybe some bad elements and get, himself in a bad situation, and maybe he got hurt and, but if he had, a break or something like that, in Missouri, despite what the family was told, the hospital there can make the decision to admit them for psychiatric evaluation against their will if they believe they are harm to themselves or others. He could literally be in a hospital and nobody knows, because all of the search efforts are in Kansas City, like really in the areas he was last seen. I don't think he's there. And there's a good chance he is alive and maybe not. I don't want to say well, but because if he's not in his right mind, or something broke, or maybe he's paranoid, he might not even want or have shared emergency contact information. Maybe he didn't know his grandmother's phone number by heart and he didn't have his phone. There's a whole lot of logical reasons that he is alive not deceased somewhere. And, you know, he's got this really great chance to be helped, and the help is just not there. The help is not there. And that is unfortunate. You get into some of these more urban communities, you know, in bigger cities, Chicago and things like that. I mean, it's a dime a dozen. I don't know what the threshold is. Every organization is different. You know, some are like law enforcement has to invite us. Some are, let me see if I can find that out. And I will share the link here, and then I'm going to pin it so if people replay it, they can at least see. Because this foundation, you know, they do a lot of programs for fingerprinting children and things like that, and which I encourage parents to do. So I'm trying to see what their threshold is. Yeah, I am not seeing. I'm sorry, I do not know. So let me see here, because I was also surprised that, let me see. Oh, why can't? Was also surprised that let's see. Oh, now he is there. Okay. So Sebastian is at least now on missingkids.org. He hadn't been at a point. So yeah, the top 2 Amber Alerts on missingkids.org for the National Center for Missing Children is Elijah Vu and Sebastian Rogers. They are right there at the top. But I think at this point he should be in NamUs as well. And we have talked in the past at what point you do that. And I'm sorry. I just think that, we're at the point he should be in there. Let's see if he is. Oh, he is there now. Okay. Maybe they listened. I only made like 5 videos talking about it. And I get so many people saying, what is NamUs? What is NamUs? What is NamUs? And I'm really, truly surprised how many people, are unaware of it. But a lot of people associate it with, when somebody's been gone for a really long time, or the really, really cold cases, for, being a national database to try to maybe match remains. But in my opinion, if somebody's been gone a week, at that point, it doesn't hurt to put them in there. But the reason that I love their site is because of what you can put is so much more than all of the other sites. Okay, so like if they add nicknames, you can add nicknames. And yeah, you put their description, but you could also put date of last contact. Oh, see, it was entered April 30th. I wonder if someone saw the video. That would be awesome. Last seen at whoa. Are you guys seeing this? Whoa. You guys see this? Whoa. Look. $10 p.m. Who made this? They don't always show you who enters this. Family can enter this. Literally anybody can enter it. I mean, just about anybody could do it. Wow. We have not, this time, TL, oh, his hair is not strawberry blonde. It's dirty blonde going to brown. But they let you describe facial hair, body hair, eyes. If there's something, you can do distinctive features. You can do last known clothing and accessories, any transportation. You can add the color of the vehicle, the make, the model, the license plate number if you had it. You can there's a lot more here than you even see on his case, like if they had tattoos, other sorts of things. I'm wondering if somebody in Seth's family did this because they included both those on there. This makes me really happy. Okay, and here we have the photos. Okay, yeah, this is wonderful. So Sumner County is down as the primary contact. Oh, I wish they would have put TBI. Yep, the construction site. The construction site. I know that they've looked at it. It's hard, when you're not physically there on the ground to know if what you're seeing on Google Maps, aerial is, the satellite. Are there no houses there now? Are there some houses there? But we actually did a video where I was showing, several sites surrounding over there. And that was, we had somebody come and chat, and when that happened, and caused quite a lot of distraction when that happened. It was quite interesting. But I was actually sharing the construction site. Wait a minute. What are you saying? The apartment. What am I missing? Am I missing something? Oh. I don't know that they put the coordinates in on this site, or if they just typed in I think that's just because they put in Hendersonville and the zip code. I think because they just have it pinned as Hendersonville, but I will let's still go take a look. So, okay, well, the best way to test this is going to be if I go into maps, not loaded onto, and I'm just going to type in Hendersonville and see where it takes me. Okay, so let me see if I type in the zip code. Let's see what happens here. 37075. What is that? What? Ugh. All right. I am, no, I saw the apartment complex. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. I can't. I don't know. I will do some digging into how, those coordinates would get there, if that was just what would populate. Or, well, I have a login actually, so let me see. Hold on, I have an account on there, so let me see if I can answer this question. What do you mean? Oh, I have one more attempt or my account is going to get locked. Are you kidding me? Oh, no, I just locked myself out of my account. Oh my gosh. I'll look into that and see how those get there. That is interesting. So I'm going to see, and I will report back on how that gets in that spot when you enter, because I do have an account on there, so I can go through it. But now I just locked myself out for 15 minutes, and it's already midnight here. So, and I don't know if anybody. Well, I'm guessing a whole bunch of people jumped out when Pascal went live. So I'm super curious to hear what he ended up seeing. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I have reassurance that the law enforcement is that TBI and is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me just hold on, because I did, and you're still here. I did go to that timestamp you gave me to hear Katie, and I didn't listen yet.
We have emotions. We have our thoughts. Everybody has their own opinions. I don't want anybody to think that we would want to control a narrative or an opinion or whatever. People are going to be upset with us. People are going to have their own ways of thinking what they want to think. That is perfectly okay. Perfectly okay.
I will say for the record that I do have a voice, but I'm just choosing not to speak on panels. But I want everyone to know that I'm okay and my husband does not abuse me.
Katie.
Sorry about that. That was off. That was way off. That was me and my voice throwing skills, everybody. Yeah.
Awesome voice throwing skills,
Yeah.
Katie.
I'm
Katie,
impressed.
we're thinking about you.
She just walked
We're
over.
thinking about you.
But no, just people are people, and
Yeah, I could be. It could be that she had been drinking. It could be that and based on his reaction, he wasn't expecting that. And, I on one hand, I could picture, a drunk woman, like, I'm just going to grab the phone and say something kind of thing. But the other part of me is, I've talked many a times what my opinion is on the gist of what happened to Sebastian. And it is not out of the realm of possibility to me to think that she has lost it now, like has had a complete and utter nervous breakdown. I mean, to be honest with you, if it weren't for maybe the fact of potentially hiding information, I mean, she probably is in need of urgent crisis and stabilization treatment right now. That's what I've been picking up on. And I think that's what happened. And I don't think, I think that there's definitely a lot of mental health, likely untreated stuff there. And then we've gotten to see a lot of what people's tempers are like, from the men that have been in their life as well. And yes, and the difference, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, is when you have a child missing, the mother is typically, even if you have severe anxiety and things like that, you're fighting and fighting and fighting, and usually you don't surrender, maybe until you're someplace quiet. But like the real surrender really doesn't come until you've found your child, or maybe a substantial, meaning like a year, 2 years have come. And then at that point, you might start believing, okay, they're never coming back. And then you might withdraw and have that total break. Most would not have the break, instead of looking and searching or staying around and things like that, and being your human nature takes over and you rally and all of those things. And even when they come back and you're lucky enough to have them back, there's still a break. So I think, something, like I said, I think something bad happened, but, and I think that Chris probably knows that she needs some serious help urgently. He's probably identified it at this point, but he can't, at this point, they can't risk it, because I think they know as well as I do is that's the setting that she probably needs to talk. And I wouldn't be surprised if she, had already had access to maybe, anxiety or antidepressant or maybe PTSD medication. And maybe she wasn't taking a ton of it, or regularly, or maybe it was as needed. But, going through this, I'm sure she could easily just tell her doctor, like, look, you see what I'm going through. My child's missing. Can you give me, something to help me calm my nerves? So she could have certainly taken something, in the evening. I mean, my theory, is that, whatever happened, was, that she did reach out in a panic, and then she needed, some help to come in and take care of things, the second half of the evening into the morning. But she might hit a point where they won't be able to make the decision as to whether or not she needs help. I mean, she might get to a point where she doesn't have a choice and she just, can't take it anymore, and she goes in and gets some help. But I don't think that most people, we've all witnessed in our life people go through traumas, and people who have had traumas and then experience more traumas, and the reaction of withdrawal when you have something like this going on, and the inability to talk, those are the behaviors, in my opinion, of not just the trauma or a nervous breakdown, but also grief and loss, which you can do something wrong and still have grief and loss. And she is mimicking what I think many of us could say would be more like our behavior if we lost a child, like they were not with us anymore, not missing, but not here on this earth anymore. That's more what this looks like. If I was able to survive the loss of or passing of a child, I wouldn't want to talk to a soul. It would be very difficult for me to speak. I wouldn't want to have to see anybody. I wouldn't want to have to see my house. I wouldn't have to see my stuff. Maybe anybody that's been a widow before, you don't want to see the bedroom. You don't want to see the closet. You don't want to see their stuff hanging there. You don't want to look at the front door that your loved one used to walk through. You don't want to look at things that remind you of them. That RV does not remind them of Sebastian because he was never in that RV. Think about that. She is withdrawn to a place where he's not there. There's no memory of him. His stuff is not there. She doesn't have a memory of him eating in the kitchenette in the RV or being, he wasn't in it. So I think she's doing what most of us would be doing if we lost a child. And I am surprised, I guess. I thought Chris was actually not talking to anybody since the court hearing while awaiting the judge to come back. Yeah, I think that's exactly that. And like I said, even if it was, I don't like calling it a mistake, a tragic loss of control is maybe a better way to put it. A tragic loss of the ability to cope. I think, hearing a lot of the beginning of the journey of Seth and Katie and then her childhood, but really the beginning of their journey and the pregnancy and the things she did in the first couple of years of Sebastian's life. I believe there may have been a natural disconnect that didn't, that natural bond didn't maybe happen. And I get really sad because I think it was very clear in his youngest years that that she wasn't able to do it. And for whatever reason, when she was with Chris and they were, going to make the decision to go to Tennessee, she wanted him to come instead of him staying with Seth. And, Seth, unfortunately, he was still, a fair distance from their home. So maybe if they had lived in the same town, but obviously we're talking about two different types of living, and cost of living, maybe this wouldn't happen. Maybe there would have been more shared, not that he didn't pull his weight as a dad, but they still had distance, versus, maybe 2 days here, 2 days there, helping with, maybe he's having a tough night. He's just going to come over to your house kind of thing. And it's terribly sad. The more, every time I really soak in what I believe happened, it's so sad. It's sad. I get angry because she's silent. Because I think it would, I honestly think it would help her though. I think it would unburden her to a degree. And she's, I don't know. I don't want to compare it to Lindsay Clancy. But it's almost what I think that she might be thinking right now. Like, this thing happened and now, you're just mentally processing it. But I think she's grieving a lost child. And I, a little bit in Chris's voice, just, I obviously didn't listen to that whole thing. A little bit of me thinks that sometimes I hear in him that, her grief might be weighing on him as well. Like, I don't think they're going to last, but, something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to be yet. Yeah, I think I had heard they were back. I don't know if it was just for the weekend. Which doesn't that, like make you more, doesn't that just, you come back, another vigil's happening and you're not there. I don't think she could do it. I mean, his face would be everywhere, all over people's shirts, all over on, poster boards and probably screens. And she can't talk on panels. She can't. Grief and secrets. And, maybe Chris didn't anticipate, that there wouldn't be some snapback, that she would just snap out of it. And if her withdrawal and grief lasts, continues a lot longer, I don't think he's going to stick around. I'm sorry. He's just, I think he's too selfish. But yeah, exactly. It was right. It was so close to their house and they weren't. And, if they split up, I don't know. Are they both going to keep the secrets? Even if they're not together? I'd be really fearful for her. I think she would, I think she'd be high risk of unaliving if she was alone. I really, really believe it. I don't know that she does get out of bed. I don't think she does. I think she's in a full state of grief. And she probably goes between grief, shock, and, oh, is that another tornado siren? Oh, interesting. Oh, geez. All right, guys. I think I'm cutting it short. I'm cutting it off now. I have severe weather alert alarm thing going off. So on that note, I am going to make sure I don't fry electronics and see what's going on, because it's like, it's almost 12:30 in the morning and it's blackout. So yeah, but the tornadoes are like crazy. So I am going to sign off for tonight just so I can go and watch the news and see what is on the radar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And again, please continue to tune into all of these people that we talked about tonight: Elijah, Sebastian, Caleb, Tamontez, and hopefully we'll get some answers soon, and we'll just keep working on their stories and sharing them as much as possible. And I hope all of you guys are safe and out of the bad weather elements as well. And I will talk to you guys soon. And until then, have a great night.